What do you think would be the attachment style of Elon Musk? Steve Jobs, what is his attachment style? Now, if an entrepreneur was listening to this episode, what would your takeaways be for them from a relationship perspective on how they can create a healthier relationship? Specifically to women entrepreneurs, what would your takeaway be?
High achiever woman is in her masculine energy, right? And now she goes out and she dates and she wants a man that is in his masculine energy. This can never work. We cannot have masculine and masculine. It doesn't work. There is no attraction.
Welcome to the Impactful Coaching Podcast, where we sit with coaches, experts, and thought leaders who help create real transformation in business, relationships, health, and life. Today's episode is going to be really interesting because we're going to be talking about something that doesn't get discussed often. And that's the topic of why entrepreneurs win in business but struggle in love. Because the truth is, a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, and high achievers are incredibly good at building businesses. They know how to solve problems. They know how to perform under pressure. They know how to set goals, create strategies, and take action and make things happen. They can control the uncontrollable. That's what happens with entrepreneurs. But you know what? When it comes to love, the same traits that they have, these result in lots of difficulties. These create a lot of difficulties. The need for control, the need for independence, the need to optimize everything, these things come in their way of having a healthy love life. We've seen this time and time again. They may look confident on the outside, but feel anxious in relationships. They may say they want a deep connection, but pull away when someone gets too close. They may confuse emotional intensity, inconsistency, or chaos with chemistry. Or they keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. And that's why I'm excited for today's conversation. The guest that's joining me today is Jeanette Winberg, a leading dating, relationship, and transformation and soul coach from one of the world's most happiest countries, Sweden. Jeanette has spent the last 10 years working as a personal matchmaker, dating coach, and relationship coach, and a speaker. She's celebrated across Sweden. She's been featured in leading magazines, newspapers, and TV shows. And as an expert relationship coach, her work goes much more than just helping people date better. She helps people understand their relationship patterns, their attachment styles, and helps them work on improving their self-worth, creating better boundaries, and shifting the deeper emotional patterns that hold people back. And today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and how many entrepreneurs struggle when it comes to love. And Jeanette will have her own answers. For those of you who'd like to know a little more about Jeanette, Jeanette also has her own podcast, which is The Answers, where she again talks about topics like attraction, communication, vulnerability, self-love, masculine and feminine energy, and personal growth. Jeanette, welcome to the show.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me and for the beautiful introduction here. So thank you.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you here. So to start, Jeanette, can you share a little more about your background and how you became a dating, relationship, and a soul coach, because that's very interesting.
The journey, right? Yeah, a little bit of me is that I'm based in Sweden. I'm turning 53, so have a lot of life experience. I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. So for me, the journey, I started out having a health clinic actually with massage, personal training, nutrition, and that kinds of teaching and coaching. But later on, I really discovered in that health clinic that it was not about the training, it was not about the food, it was not about the tension in the body, the knot that I needed to do with massage. It was about much more and much deeper, and that is the soul. That is the soul. That is the attachment styles. This is our coding of fears, how we release, how we live in the past. Everything goes together. It's holistic. So that was my first realization. I was like, I need to go deeper in this, and not only work on the surface. You need to eat this or take away that knot on your body and your muscle. And also when it comes to making this in the love arena, it actually started because I'm separated from the dad of my children since 20 years back. And when we separate, because I have done this a long time, and when we separated, I was actually single 4 years for my own will. I wanted to explore, to find myself again after 10 years of, living with him and family life. And also, who was I with my children alone? So I was like, I like that. But then it came 2 years where I didn't want to be single. And I was actually dating and it didn't work. And I had the same pattern as when I was single and a little bit flirty. And the men just didn't stick. I was not wifey material. And I didn't understand what was wrong with the men, because for me, it was absolutely nothing wrong with me. It was the men. And I didn't understand this. And I was like, no, this cannot be. And I was also an entrepreneur. And I was like, this is taking my time. It's wasting my time. This is we will get more into that, how entrepreneurs and strong, entrepreneurs' minds works when it comes to it wastes my time. But that was why the matchmaking firm was born, actually, because I took it in my own hands to fix other people's that had the same problem as I had, so that I could just give them the good ones, so you didn't have to go on all these dates. It doesn't really work that way, but that is how the whole business is born. From that path, I went into the soul coaching because I know it's much, 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 much deeper layers here. And that is where I am today.
Nice. That's pretty interesting, because you had your own personal story, from your own personal experience, you built the matchmaking forum. And then from the matchmaking forum, you started off soul coaching because you understood that people's emotional patterns, they can say something when they're looking for a match, but then they can do something different when you actually show them those people. That happens a lot. And I agree with you. Like, everybody learns through relationships, through separation, and through experiences. And I love how you've used that to transform yourself into a coach who helps and impacts people's lives. So from your experience, why do you think many entrepreneurs, I'm pretty sure you may have worked with a lot of entrepreneurs who are your clients for both matchmaking and as a relationship coach, why do you think many entrepreneurs can be so successful in business but struggle in love? They're so good with money, generating the revenue, but then they struggle in love. Why do you think that's the case?
I think that first, if I go to my own journey, it's basically the first thing I said, you don't want to waste your time. When we look at entrepreneurs in general, it's very productive people, high achievers, result achievers, also very, very used to having to solve things. You need to climb the mountain every single day because nothing is working as you think it should. And you know that, I know that. We always need to solve things every single day. Something is there. The money, the technology, the times, anything. So we have so much to solve. We are so in the masculine energy, especially women here, definitely. So when we now enter a relationship, we take the same arena over to the dating arena. We want results quickly. We don't have the patience. Many doesn't have the dating patience. It needs to go fast, or you stay too long in a relationship because you're so used to solving things that when you are met with red flags or unavailable people coming into your life, for you it's normal. You just need to solve that too, so you stay too long, you breadcrumb, but you are detached from the heart and the soul. You cannot be in the love arena as you are in the business arena. That's completely two different things. Business is transactions, but love arena is investment. You invest, is emotion. It's not a transaction. And I think many that are impactful and, high achievers, they see everything as a transaction or some kind of solution or result. Masculine energy. Also, the last point is demands are sky high. I want this, because you can do that with your company too, or high achievers anyway. Yeah, you create something, you create a product, and you think you can do exactly the same in the other arena. And the absolute last thing is the feminine energy. We both have masculine and feminine energy, and feminine energy is about receiving in your being and not in your performing. And that is really something that high achievers is struggling with. They are struggling so much to just receive, just get it, so go down, be you. So yeah.
It's such a coincidence because just today I was listening to another podcast conversation where I came across an entrepreneur, a successful female entrepreneur with 7 children who were running her business, and she had grandchildren as well. But she had been separated from her husband for almost 20-25 years. And what had happened was she was just tired of being single. She was tired of actually embracing the masculine energy all the time, the need for control. And that's where the realization it hit her. It was Tony Robbins basically coaching her. And Tony Robbins was telling her, like, she has to learn to let go, because she keeps attracting the wrong kind of men who don't have the right energy dynamic that she wants,
True.
And so it's pretty interesting that you talk about the masculine and feminine energy. And I know as women, many women entrepreneurs, they carry the masculine energy into their business lives because that's what it requires. And then when it comes to their personal lives, they tend to struggle, which again, they're not able to carry that. And for men, again, as entrepreneurs, like I've seen, like I myself being an entrepreneur at one point of time during, let's say, my dating life, I used to also be very transactional. I used to look for something that I can get out versus instead of looking at it as an investment, like you said, it's not a transaction where you basically give something and then you get something, but rather it's an investment where you basically have to invest in love. You have to be patient. You have to play the long game, But in business, it's not about that. It's about reaching out to maybe 5 clients and then try to close 1 client, But that's not how relationships work. Relationships evolve over a period of time, as we go through. So that's pretty true.
To hold love, to hold it. But the high achievers are so fast. They're either fast or they're sticking too long because solving problems is something they are so used to. Their red flags is not even a red flag. It doesn't even matter. You can have a huge red flag here, but the high achiever think, oh yeah, I will solve it. No problem. It's just a bump. So we can sometimes stay too long. This has been me. For me in my journey, the fastness, I know exactly. I'm very, very fast in decision making, also in love. And also the over forgiveness that I have been struggling so much with because it doesn't really stick with me. And I see this in many, many of my clients. I am dating someone, I'm in a relationship with someone, they make something or they have a red flags. And I'm like, yeah, life goes on, life moves on. I have a coffee, I go to the gym, I do a new project. I don't think so much about that red flag. It's not interesting to me. It doesn't stick. So that has been my journey to see that red flag and actually remove it. Eliminate it to get the right person to come into my life.
Makes sense. I agree.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most common dating relationship patterns that you see in high achievers or ambitious people? Can you I know you mentioned that some people miss red flags, but what are some other patterns and what would some red flags look like?
The red flags, I think, is that for the high achiever, for the entrepreneur, they find the partner too passive. There is it goes too slow somehow. And when they don't invest in transactionals that fast and like almost a love bombing, it goes fast, boom. Because high achievers works mostly fast. It's red people mostly. It's like, boom, it's fast. So when you date and it goes slow, like a safe attachment, you build brick by brick and you get to know someone. That is most often for high achievers not interesting. It takes too long. You could do 5 more dates in that time. So this is one of the highest points. Yes.
That's very true. Or sometimes what ends up happening is for high achievers, again, they get into optimization. So let's say if someone is too slow, they realize, okay, maybe they're too slow because I'm not good looking enough. And then they go into working their bodies or optimizing their bodies to become the best version of themselves. And then they don't realize that sometimes it's about participating, it's about actually inviting that other person, building that emotional bond over a period of time, and then which will allow the relationship to come into life.
Yeah. And also sometimes it can be fierce because as we all do work we're often married to our work. So it needs also to be a person that has high patience with that you are very high in your business and you're dedicated to your business. Not that your business is more important, but it takes up a lot of space. An entrepreneur is, when you are dating an entrepreneur, you're actually dating a business somehow, because the entrepreneur's mind is 24/7 in creating. Not every entrepreneur, of course, but mostly it's always in some thinking, and maybe there is an email late or something. And I'm not saying that you should not be present with your partner. It's just this is a type of person that is always in the move somehow. So you need to match that and sometimes be grounded, and you need to see that. And for the entrepreneur itself, you sometimes forget the emotions of the other because you're so in the mind.
Okay, now that we spoke about red flags, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, what kind of attachment styles do entrepreneurs typically have? Because I know there's a lot of research done into attachment styles and how that influences how people show up in relationships. It also sometimes influences how people show up in business as well, right? So, for example, there are certain entrepreneurs who are type A personalities. There are certain entrepreneurs that are not so type A, and that is influenced by attachment styles. So I'm just wondering, where do you see entrepreneurs? What kind of attachment styles do they typically operate from, and how it affects their dating life?
I don't know if there is a specific attachment style, but if I would say, then when you go to the anxious and the avoidant, most often anxious attachment styles, but also avoidant, I would say. But it's when you convert, somehow many entrepreneurs convert it in the direction of the energy to something else. They create something here so they don't need to look inside, and that is most often the avoidant or the anxious. You redirect the energy. If you have a wound or something, you can redirect it into training or to business or something. But I think when it comes to the business arena, we have actually, I think, a mix of attachment. But I can see very high, if we talk about ADHD and that direction, we have a higher level, because that is when the mind is spinning and you work, you go into tunnels, you create a course in 2 days and stuff like that. So maybe more that direction. But yeah, I would say anxious or avoidant if I need to choose.
Got it. Just for our audience here, can you just elaborate on the various attachment styles and how it shows up in relationships?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let's go through a couple of attachment styles.
Yes. When we are born, actually, when we are newborn, we know nothing, absolutely nothing. We all come with the same worth. We don't need to find our worth. We already are born with a worth. We are lovable. Then something happens, because when you are born, you will now be impacted by what you are taught by parents, caretaker, and the environment. So you have the caretakers telling you stuff or showing you, but you also have the movie you are seeing. So even if parents are very loving to each other and they are not loving to you, or the other side, they are loving to you, but they are not loving to each other, how they handle conflicts, the food, the cleaning, everything. You see a movie and you grow up with that. And if you are taught that you get love, sometimes you are getting comfort, sometimes you are not good enough if you are not doing something and you are in some result thinking and you are becoming something they want you to become, then you are not good enough. Or you only get to hear that you are good when you have done something and not in your being, for example. Or some children is grown up with taking care of themselves or taking care of the parents, or we have drug abuse. So everything that happens after they're born is like a USB in our computer. I code you. It's like a coding. And now you get different attachment styles. We have this secure attachment, and that is the children that has been growing up with, safety, getting comfort when they need it, always the same. It was a loving home, all right? We have the anxious attachment, we say it unsecure, anxious attachment, and that is the children that they are growing up with, they are getting love sometimes and sometimes not. So maybe you are getting the love and you're being seen on Tuesday but not on Wednesday. So you now need to navigate somehow. You eggshell a little bit. You learn this very fast as a child. You eggshell and you are pleasing a little bit. You're quiet when you need to. You're speaking up when you need to. So you're adjusting. You open the door to your home and you're adjusting to get as much love as possible, because everything will go away. Everything is temporary. So if you get 1 hour, it will end, and now you need to hold it. How can you get it as much as possible? You feel the room. Yeah. Then we have the avoidant, and they are basically always on their own. Maybe they get, food and clothing, everything, but not emotional. They're not emotional met. They're not like felt when they're sad or held or anything like that. So they don't know how to hold love at all. Nothing. And then we have the disorganized attachment style, and that is the children growing up with violence, abuse, anything like that has been really brutal. And now decoding the USB in the computer now, in you, will of course show itself how you have a relationship to others growing up. Because this is your coding, this is your nervous system, doesn't know anything else. And what happens now, you need to decode, you need to recode it to actually come into a safe nervous system again in the now and not in the past. That is what I do with my clients.
Makes sense. So from the attachment styles, like I can get you, one is the secure attachment style, which is basically when you felt loved consistently over a period of time, you end up using that to basically form bonds with other people, and then you basically have good relationships, good healthy relationships, etc. With the other three, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, people tend to suffer from relationship issues. So just out of curiosity, if a child experienced narcissism in their childhood by their parents, which attachment style would they develop?
That is actually abuse.
Okay, so that would be disorganized.
Yes.
Got it.
But disorganized is a mix of anxious and avoidant. It's a mix. Then you get both.
Correct.
I call them actually the anchor is the safe, the wave is the anxious, and the island is the avoidant. So disorganized is a mix between the wave and the island, you can say.
Makes sense. So how does it show up in an entrepreneur's life? Let's say if someone had an anxious attachment style, how do you think they will show up in their personal lives? Like, how would their dating life be?
I'm an anxious. I can tell you a long story. I'm an anxious here. I'm a healed anxious, I have to say. I have done my journey. So
this is an example.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we go to an anxious attachment, how it shows both in business and in, you have sometimes different attachment in different arenas. So you can be very secure with friends, and you can be very secure at work, and you can be very anxious in relationships. You can actually shift it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same in every arena. So you can have different here. When it comes to romantic relationships in the anxious attachment style, then as you are programmed in your nervous system, that everything is temporary. You know this. That means you become highly sensitive for every pattern that is changing. So if someone sends always a good morning and a red heart, and you suddenly doesn't get a good morning, there is a shift here, and then you come in fear, because now for you as an anxious, that is a loss. You will lose this person, and now you become needy. So you are trying to push it to get confirmations from that person that they are not leaving. And you can go pretty deep in this. You can be triple texting, is 5 texting. You can really go on and push it so that you get that validation, or you will just go to the next one because you're like, okay, I know this person is gone, I go here. But you're always a little bit tense in your nervous system because you will lose everything. So that can go for money as well. That can go for business. Everything is temporary, right? As it was when you were growing up, you got love sometimes and sometimes not. This means you are very highly to be, ending up in relationships with unavailable people, or being in red flag situations, because you normalized it. Your nervous system knows it can be good and bad and good and bad, hot and cold and hot. And you take that, so you lower your self-esteem a little bit, your worthiness. You just accept everything as long as they don't leave. That's the highest mission in everything. As long as they don't leave, you do everything. Yeah. It's a difficult, highly intense attachment, but also one of the most easy, because as long as you make the anxious calm, you can ask the anxious, what do you need? Okay, I need a heart every day at 10 o'clock. You can actually train the anxious. The avoidant, now we're talking. This is a difficult one. So
that's like an island, right?
Oh, that's an island. They are love bombing in the start. They were so intense in the start. Oh, they love you. They will travel with you. They will build a home with you. They are building everything up, and you're so special. I'm not talking about narcissism now. I'm just talking about how they actually feel it. They do it. But then when commitment comes, the real commitment, they get suffocated. They are so afraid of losing their independence, and they are so afraid of being hurt. So now they are gone. They are ghosters. They are just gone. From Monday to Tuesday off. Bye-bye, they're gone. And now we have the safe person says, okay, good, this is a cut. The anxious person spirals now. Totally. What happened now? Why is this person ghosting me? Why is this person gone? What? And now we come to the entrepreneurs, also high achievers that are in the anxious. They will spend years to get that person back. That's a goal. That it becomes a result. Needs to, have to, need the confirmation, need the validation. Yeah.
Got it. Now, as you say it, I'm just thinking, there's a very strong possibility that an anxious person can fall in love with an avoidant person.
Always. This is a total match.
Yep. And then because the avoidant leaves, what ends up happening is the anxious gets even more anxious. So they eventually end up creating that bond again, and this is a cycle. So let's talk about disorganized. How does disorganized? I know you mentioned disorganized is a mix. But now I think we are really, really talking, because this is how relationships are influenced,
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, but
and
the disorganized is different because they are always suspicious. They don't trust anyone. You can imagine as a child, you have been growing up with violence, abuse, it can be any drug problem here or narcissism or psychopaths or anything like brutal, like trauma. So they have trust issues. They are really broken souls. But many times when they are healed, they become the most beautiful people ever. Every person can be that. But the trauma people, when they heal it, it becomes vulnerable, open people. It's just a journey they need to do in the trust. It's like a pit bull. As soon as they sense any danger, they're like that. They can be very aggressive in their way, or not aggressive, but not opening up. They're shutting it down. They're like that all the time because they are in fear. They need to protect themselves, right?
Makes sense.
Of course.
I agree. So as entrepreneurs, now again, like we said, there could be the anxious would chase the avoidant would chase the anxious, and then it would basically create this balancing act. And the people with secure attachment styles, I mean, the ones that are secure, they would eventually not react to these. But as an entrepreneur, typically what ends up happening is the entrepreneur, because they are a hyperachiever, at business, they are a hyperachiever at success. They would want someone who is like amazing. They would call this person as a perfect fit. They would just like how they basically hire the perfect employee or the perfect client. They may want to end up attracting the perfect partner. So they may envision wanting a person with a secure attachment style, but they may never actually get it because they usually have an anxious, disorganized, or a avoidant attachment style. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it is, of course. I think, the secure attachment, it's not like they don't feel anything or get sad or cry for the same reasons that the others do. It's just that they are so secure in their self-esteem and secure as people, they are not afraid of loss in the same sense. So if you disrespect me as a secure person, I can say, you know what, I love you, but it's not respectful, and you will walk away. So you are not afraid of the loss or letting go or release, because you choose yourself first, your well-being, your boundaries, your needs. You're not afraid of that. But it can still hurt. They are still crying. There are still like hurt people that needs to be healed. If they are just choosing themselves, they see the pattern, they say, no, thank you. And also when it comes to clients, they don't do that really. They look more from a perspective of themselves. So they are more safe and grounded. The anxious doesn't have to. I'm anxious and I'm a good salesperson because in my business arena, I am not anxious. But in the love arena, I have been. But of course, you can show if you are in an anxious attachment, that it will show in your energy, also in business. It will show that there is some neediness here, some desperation. Please pick me, choose me. And you can see that also in the business. You cannot cover that up. It's in your soul. So it will be added on in every arena anyhow. It is. People sense this. They know this. Yeah.
Makes sense. Let's just talk about successful entrepreneurs and let's explore their attachment styles. So what do you think would be the attachment style of Elon Musk?
Avoidant, 100%. Avoidant, disorganized, one of those.
Got it. And he's gone through so many relationships, so many divorces, and he just never fully commits.
I don't know this person, so I cannot say. But to be in a relationship, you need to attach, really. I think he is detached. I think he's detached, yes, from those kinds. I mean, he can feel. It's not that he cannot feel, but you can see clearly his path. He has narcissistic patterns in him. I'm not saying he is a narcissist, but there is definitely narcissistic patterns. And I think many entrepreneurs have narcissistic patterns in themselves. Not that they are diagnosed as narcissists. That is completely different. But I think maybe you need to be when you're an entrepreneur, because you need to focus here and to really be a bit in you and not what everyone else is thinking. And it takes from your social life and everything like that. And to be what Elon Musk is, 100% avoidance, I would say. But, and again, I haven't talked to him, but yes, I would guess.
Yep. Let's talk about maybe a few more people. Steve Jobs. What is his attachment style?
I think all of them are avoidant. All of the big ones, yes.
All of the big ones.
Yes. You need to
Interesting.
be. You mean you can love still, but people in that high performing, of course you can love, but they will always choose business first. Business comes first. That's just how it is. It's the choice they have made. And you can combine it. I am totally against that you cannot combine business with family and love and feelings. Of course you can. But you need to have a masculine mind when you have a business. You cannot have the feminine mind because then you will go with feelings and not numbers. And when I coach my clients, I am of course with my feminine energy present so that I can take in the feelings and relate to you. But I'm still the leader. So I'm still in the masculine, right? And they are so highly in the masculine with such huge businesses. So they can be anxious, but no, I would say avoidant.
Can you name one entrepreneur that you've seen who has a secure attachment style?
I think many have secure attachment styles, actually. I don't know. I need to think to come up with names here, but I think many can have also secure. You don't need to be broken just because you have a business. Many highly entrepreneurs have safe attachment style. Yes, but maybe I think it's not because they have the secure or the broken one, but I think that the high performance, sometimes it can be broken in the love arena, but not in the business arena. So you can be very secure in the business arena, but to be a high performer and then still be able to have the love arena and to be open, emotional, and not shut down, thinking about numbers all the time. We come back to the result thinking. You come home and you want to have everything pragmatic. So every small problem now, like the dishes, for example, for a high achiever, that is not even a problem. Solve it. Who's taking the dishes? Or we take someone in to do it for us. There is just not a problem. And for the other person that is not an entrepreneur, like let's say, comes home and they find it a huge problem. Or they tell something they have seen in the store, or these micro things that happens in life, that is not even interesting most often for the other person. They are completely in some other mindset. You see? So we have. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you bring this up because my wife and I go through this on a regular basis. She works in a company and I, on the other hand, am an entrepreneur. What happens is there's many conversations that she brings up and there are very small talks that I don't even regard it. It just doesn't even go through my mind because it's just that you are hyperfixated on other things.
Yes. And now let's go back to Elon Musk. What do you think he thinks about these small talks?
Just a waste of time.
He doesn't even go to dinners. He's not even social. He works always, every single day of the week. He doesn't even have any interest. That's the only thing he does. So, I mean, yeah. So you see, are you in secure attachment, you would say?
I would say I'm somewhere between anxious and avoidant is what as we come and as we explore, that's where I'm just realizing, because I know there were times where I was not actually raised by my parents during my early young years. So because that I've learned to be independent for myself for most of the time, so that in turn has come in the way, where I've been patient with relationships, where if, sometimes I ghost people, sometimes I don't really open up to people. I've seen that kind of has happened over a period of time, so, but definitely not a secure attachment style. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but this is also interesting that you say, because I also have this pattern and many others with us that we can ghost. I mean, I'm not a ghoster. If you talk to me, I answer you. But what we do is like we can read something and then we're in the mind of building something. So we read, and that becomes not important enough in that moment. And then you sometimes forget it. I'm not telling this as an excuse because it's not. This is something that should not happen, but this is the typical. And we talk about the entrepreneur mind now. What is difficult for them is exactly this, to shift this and to get out of the tunnel and to not always be in this arena. And then you come home and you want quick results. You just want the results. You are not so much in the feelings, and we need to open up the feminine energy. Every entrepreneur, I would say, if it's not a yoga teacher or something, open up the energy, the feminine.
It's interesting when you say that, because there have been times when I have worked on building the business, and there are some times where I've struggled, from an emotional standpoint, and there are some times where I've felt a lot of emotional well-being. And I can tell you the times that I've best felt the most emotional well-being was when I had a healthy yoga practice
Yeah,
on
you
a
see,
regular
I
basis.
love it. I love it. I do as well.
Yeah.
I'm a believer. Also a God believer. So I believe in
Mhm.
God. I believe also in the power of universe and the frequencies. But of course, God for me is the highest. So praying and also to meditate and to connect. But when I don't do that, and before in my life when I didn't do it, I see it in my clients when they don't do it, you get somehow disconnected from the light. And you don't need to believe in God, the soul. You can believe in nature. You can believe in yourself. You can believe in what you believe in. As long as we go inside and we have this above power somehow, even if it's nature, it doesn't really matter. So connect to the soul. If we don't do it, we will actually get sick and the body will burn. We will burn. And this is for high achievers very, very, very common. They run and they run and they run and they forget the emotions, the feelings. So connect back to the feelings and also sometimes let someone else do the things for you. You don't need to be the leader always, every single minute of the day.
Yep, that's true. So, as an entrepreneur, how do you suggest they go about healing? Let's say they have one of these anxious or avoid attachment styles or whatever. I know you mentioned that everything stays in the nervous system.
Yes.
So, how would one go about their healing journey to basically have more healthy, happier relationships?
Yeah, when you come to me as a client, what we do is I need to go back the whole way back to the event itself. I call it event, no matter if it's an abuse or if it's a coding, whatever it is, or a heartbreak. I call everything an event, so you know what I mean with event. We go back to the event where it's born. We need to look at where it's born. What voice is speaking, because it's not yours. You cannot, you cannot do something about the USB that you got, the coding that you got. You're just, it's like earth. I can plant anything in the earth. I can plant bad things and I can plant a beautiful flower. But the earth is just, okay, I need to just receive now. And that's with you when you come to the world. You just get what you get now. It's when you become an adult, you come to the choice and your own truth and your own beliefs, and you can take back your truth. So with my clients now, I need to go back. Where is it born? Does it come from your childhood, from relationships, narcissistic? Where is it coming from? It can be like also sexual abuse, whatever it is. Where is it coming from? Where is the voice coming from that you are not good enough or that you're not safe? When we have done that, we release the event. It's not interesting anymore. We take the feeling that you got from the event, the feeling you got from the event, the nervous system coding, and now we go into the now. So we look at very much at the times here, the time that does not exist. And we look at the now. Are you safe now? Are you in danger now? Is it true that you are not lovable now? Because even if you were not lovable, you think you're not lovable in the past, you have lived that was a reality in the past, but it's not a reality in the now. So now we are recoding this and we are decoding the past. It's not today. You're safe today. And when we learn the nervous system, that the nervous system is safe today, now you are beginning to recoding and getting back to the safe path here. This is very, very, very important because in the now you are safe. In the now. So this is something that is an old belief. It's not your belief. Yeah. The thing with the nervous system is that the nervous system doesn't know good from bad. It goes only for familiarity. Only familiarity. And the nervous system only wants you to have the same as you have always been. So you need to teach the nervous system to not put up the soldiers here.
Got it. So you're saying the first thing is you identify where that past incident and what brings them this type of attachment style, and then you get them to the now and then help them feel safe in the now.
Yes.
What else do you think an entrepreneur can do to feel unsafe? How do you think they can feel safe? What else do you think?
The thing with entrepreneurs most often when I have high clients, I have politicians, everything with me, is again, they want it to be fast. Give me the key so I can change now in an hour. I want the result now. I have been with you now 10 hours. I still doesn't have the partner here, Yeah, I can send a partner to you knocking on the door. But, it takes it takes time to change, to shift. It can be an hour. You can change in an hour. But I mean, intellectual, we know everything, you get everything. But to put it down in the nervous system and the emotional, the soul, it takes time sometimes. You need to heal. You need to do the journey. So for the entrepreneurs that wants to shift it, they need to just slow down a little bit so that they can feel and actually Most often I take them in all feelings to a dinner party, and then we talk about the feelings. So it's very important. It's connecting to feelings, actually.
Makes sense. Now, if an entrepreneur was listening to this episode, what would your takeaways be for them from a relationship perspective on how they can create a healthier relationship?
Yeah, the first thing is do not mix the business arena with the dating arena. Don't be in the intellectual result, transactional thinking, and also don't be in always the solution mind. Be in the feeling. Who do I become with this person? What is happening here? How can I receive and hold love? How can I love and be loved? How can I see the other person? Not in the result. Don't be so quick in the result thinking. So we need to cut that and just be in the now. So take out your jacket from your job, take on something else, dance a little bit before the date, shake it off, go to the date and be present with the feeling, the attraction. That is what I would actually say to them, and be a little bit patient here. Let love grow. It doesn't need to be fast. Yeah.
And just because it doesn't grow does not mean it is a rejection of you. It's a step process, right?
What,
so there are some
the rejection, you mean?
Yes, rejection. There are some people, just because it is slow, they think the other person is not attracted to them. They're rejecting them, and they just have to find someone else.
Sometimes, but most often it's boring to them. It's just boring, it goes too slow. So, but when you're an entrepreneur and you're in the masculine energy, you need to heal the nervous system that you also can hold love, that you can actually receive. I know this is a pattern, and also the demand list is so high. You can have demands on what you're searching for. You shouldn't date every fish in the sea. You should. I mean, to be in a relationship with someone that is equal or can understand you and wants you to grow, that is the meaning here, to see each other grow. But you need to be present and not unwork. So it's more connect with the feminine energy. I will do the work with them because I know how to shift this to separate those two arenas, but also to bring in the right match for you, because there is also certain people that is not a match when you're an entrepreneur. You need a special type to fit into an entrepreneur, definitely. It's high achievers. So, but it can be, there is love for also entrepreneurs, even mostly for women. This is difficult because high achiever women is like this. They go to the same level of man or a pin up. They never go a pin down. So they want the same or up. Mostly they want up. Social status, economic status, gentleman status, whatever. They want to have equal or above. A man that is very high, he doesn't really need or search for exactly the same or above. He can go a bit down. He can have someone who's working with something completely different and have no money. For him, it's not such a big deal. He looks on the aesthetic, he looks on the feminine qualities, the warmth, to be seen, respected, and have a value for the family, to be protector, provider. It's different. That is why it's so difficult for the woman.
Yep. That's because women are by nature hypergamous. They want to move up. So if they move down, even if they may get a healthy relationship, they are not very satisfied. That
no, they're not protected. They're not protected, and they're not I mean, the man is the provider, protectors, and old somehow, and that's why a woman doesn't feel safe with down.
Okay, so now specifically to women entrepreneurs, what would your takeaway be? When it comes to healing their love life, what would you say they should be working on if they are listening to this today?
Feminine energy, and not be so afraid of letting someone in, or not always be in control, because control is also fear somehow. If we have control over emotions, we actually lose control. So a bit, lose the control a little bit. You don't need to have it at home. This is the thing, a high achiever woman is in her masculine energy, right? And now she goes out and she dates and she wants a man that is in his masculine energy. This can never work. We cannot have masculine and masculine. It doesn't work. There is no attraction. It doesn't work. Or she goes out and she takes in a man dominant in his feminine energy, but now maybe she doesn't want to be in her masculine when it comes romantic. Maybe she wants a man that it takes the lead. But if you are searching for a man that has the masculine energy, he wants a woman in her feminine. A man in his masculine energy doesn't want a woman in her masculine. Not on the romantic spectrum. In business, yes. Have 18 companies, doesn't matter. So you see, we need also to talk about the energies here. Masculine, masculine, feminine, feminine, or when you have gone over to the other side. So You want to be in the feminine, now you are in the masculine, but now you're on the wrong side, so you get resentment to your partner. This is very important. So to high achiever women that are in the masculine needs to find the feminine energy in the romantic arena. Go back to that. Yes.
It's interesting because I think as we're speaking with this, I think we should have a conversation about masculine women and feminine men. We should probably have a conversation and look at how these styles are formed, how some people are dominant in their masculine energy and some people are dominant in their feminine energy. Why does that come up, and how does it affect not just relationships, but also business and life in general?
Oh, a lot. It does a lot. As an anxious myself, I of course have navigated in masculine energy always, because as long as I was in the masculine energy, I had control, and I couldn't get hurt. So for me, I was the leader everywhere. Leader. So then you couldn't reach my heart. And to me, to do the journey, to heal the anxious, go into the safe, and actually start to receive and to slow down in the romantic arena and not be so hard, to show the softness, show the receiving, the feminine. That has been a game changer to me, totally. But I'm also, the only reason why I could do that and why my clients can do that is because you can release. You don't force people in. If they want to leave, let them fly. Let them fly. We don't need to sugar people in to, to put out the fire in the anxiety that we have inside. As long as you navigate that way, that people needs to validate you, we have healing to do. And you will be triggered, and you will be in situations, and you will meet people over and over and over, triggering you till you learn, till you heal. Yeah, it's repeated. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I know you work as both a matchmaker and as a coach. Can you tell our audience on how they can work with you? On what terms do you typically work, and how long does your engagement look like? So the audience, if they want to use you for relationship coaching, to help improve their personal lives, they can reach out to you.
yeah, of course. I'm not so much into matchmaking at the moment. I come and go in that one. Right now, it's a little bit on the side, actually. I can do it, but it's not my primary. So I do the coaching and I do the soul coaching. I have called them two different because coaching it's a little bit different program. The soul coaching is actually for people that are spiritual, I would say. I use terms like God and universe and soul, and I talk about the soul healing and the beliefs and to be in certainty to above, and it's not really connecting to atheists. But so then I do exactly the same work in the other program, the coaching. You can be a believer in the coaching program as well, but then I don't use those words. I talk about it from a different angle. Even if it's the same, you go in a different angle. So it's a little bit different programs, but it's coaching. So what is a fit for you? And the program I have, it's 6 months or it's a year. So I work over half year with you, or all access, that is a year.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Sense. So that's for the viewers, all right? If they want to reach out to Jan for a coaching, whether that's soul coaching or whether that's relationship coaching, you can reach out. We'll drop to our website below this video, wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. You can connect with her, and then you can learn to heal your nervous system and let go.
Yeah, and also relationships, actually. When you're a couple, you can come. I do couples therapy as well. So
Jan, thank you so much for joining us on our show today. It was wonderful, and I'm pretty sure our audience learned a lot more about attachment styles and how it influences their dating life, especially entrepreneurs. They need it a lot, given that many entrepreneurs fall into the anxious or the avoidant styles, and then this in turn makes them create relationships which are not so healthy, So obviously healing their nervous system, bringing in the right energies will help. So again, thank you again for joining us. Anything else you want to share with our audience?
thank you first for letting me be on your show here. It has been a beautiful, nice conversation. I think that the only thing I want to say to all of the listeners is that healing is possible. False beliefs, and don't let not anyone say to you that you don't deserve love, or that you cannot have love, or that you are not lovable. No matter. And everything here is a healing journey. It's all possible, and there is love for each and any of us. So just do the journey.
Yep, just do the journey, Love is possible for everybody. Don't let your limiting beliefs get in the way. Healing is possible no matter what you've been through.
Exactly. It's just stories. We can shift them.
Yes. Thank you, Janet.